All right, welcome everybody. We're going to be talking about this human side of CX, how connection, community can all bring it together with brand loyalty. Brought on Sara from Rivo. Sara, thanks so much for joining, and how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good. Look, I think this is going to be an interesting kind of dialogue. You bring such a partnership experience into the CX world and how you've seen some of the brands move and organize themselves. So I'm excited to jump in. Before we do that though, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been doing. Tell us a little bit about Rivo. Give us that quick overview.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm over at Rivo. Previously, I've been in the loyalty space over at Yapo before. I came over to Rivo, and it's been an amazing journey since coming over. So I actually am the global head of partnerships. I work with both agency partners and tech partners to help facilitate a really great experience to get that one-time shopper to a repeat purchaser. As well as making sure that they have a really great, easy experience of signing on, knowing that their loyalty is there, right? Having that accounts feature that allows them to basically manage their whole experience or their shopping, I would say either profile or where
Mm.
returns or the loyalty experience all in one place. And then getting that repeat purchase, and whether that's subscriptions, loyalty and rewards, or referrals, or it's wallet pass or shareable wish list, we have all of those features rolled into one to make it a much easier experience. And then on the side of that, I also run a partner community called Smarterships. So we actually are a global 23 global cities partnership community that's on Slack that allows anyone in the partnership, a partner manager or partner marketing role, whether that's in tech or agency, come together and work smarter, not harder, to help facilitate a really great experience for all of our clients and brands to be able to have a great experience within the e-commerce space, especially as it relates to partnerships.
Look, yeah, look, that's cool. And congrats. The community stuff, I feel like people are just looking more and more for ways to learn, work smarter, not harder, as you said. So kudos that you've been running that on the side. That's never easy, but more than ever, it just feels like we all need help figuring out all this AI stuff that's going on.
Yeah, or just the
And,
short
and,
code instead of
and
it being like, does someone know someone or reaching out cold on LinkedIn? Ultimately, partnerships is about relationships. And so,
yeah.
and it's just like with with a customer and a brand, you want to have that great relationship and the short code there to do that. And so really trying to tie a lot of that together. It started when I was in an agency and just found everyone was working individually and via
Mm.
text or email or LinkedIn. And I'm like, why isn't there a centralized place to share resources so we all don't have to reinvent the wheel? So that's basically where it started.
Kudos. Yeah, like I said, that's super cool. Well, I want to dive into a little bit of that and how you've experienced that in kind of the CX world. So partnerships and communities, you've definitely built both. What do you feel like is this overlap between the two, and why are these so important in CX today, do you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I think in essence, partnership and community are both like trust engines, right? So that partnership extends with the brand capabilities, but also the community extends the credibility of the community. So I always
Um,
say that like when you put those together, that feedback loop is so powerful. And whether that's like at Revo, where we co-plan with like partners around like a life cycle of a customer from onboarding
yeah.
the first purchase and that, but it incentivizes everyone from like we call it like the ladder up for loyalty, not just acquisition, because you can get a customer, but can you keep them and can they come back
Yeah.
again and again? The same thing goes with partnerships. So, you know, you openly share real time feedback. You are trying to get insights. You're trying to help, you know, with roadmaps for future. Like we're all planning events together, making sure we're not overlapping or
Uh,
each other learn like what conference worked well, what didn't work well. And the idea is that you earn credibility when you're giving people real time feedback. So even in the partnership community is getting to do that. Same goes with customers. I always say if they're giving you real time feedback, if you're actually getting that feedback loop, I think that in turn enhances the customer experience, but also the product experience, right? So you're getting to hear from the customers in real time. So it's, you know, community relationships really make partnership handoffs like just a really warm
yeah.
referral, but it's not just a ticket escalation. So you want to make human introductions and like I think interactions. We
Hmm.
just allow for lower friction in general, and that goes in partnerships and that goes in also your customer experience.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. It's so yeah, in this modern world, I mean, for all of us, tech companies, even brand, but word of mouth matters. Part of these community, this concept of others, not just going online and Googling something, I think is it's so important. I think word of, people are just learning and buying and all from, I think, the people around them. Do you have any examples, maybe where a partner or a community type initiative did improve that customer experience for a brand? Does anything come to mind just to make it a little more, make it
Yeah,
more
I
real?
mean, gosh, there's so many. Where do I start? And I think that it's like even just I think about in general, like getting an introduction, making sure the integration is there, right? Doing these kind of short codes to like get folks in front of the right people so that customer is getting the best experience possible. That just in general goes with smarterships. But I would say a recent example with like, Rivo's like loyalty data was with, a help desk and an integration. So it was getting to like see more points, like getting the tier status and VIP milestones inside the ticket view.
Mhm.
So two,
Oh,
so two things happen. One is like
oh,
proactive recovery where a shipment was delayed and the agent was able to offer make good on that matched the customer's tier. So it wasn't like a script. It was like recognizing that customer for who they are. Not every customer is the same, right? So a one-time purchaser is not going to be the same. You're not going to treat them the same
that's right,
as you
that's right.
would a top tier. I just got gold status on Delta. Very excited. I better get better customer service. They said one of the things that came in the email yesterday was you get a dedicated telephone number. Great.
That's right, you do for gold. I've been gold,
I'm
that's
in.
true. And
Let's
actually,
go.
it's be you're like,
I love
all the miles are worth it. I get the dedicated phone. I'm no,
I always
it's
think about I love when they recognize my tier. So when I check in yesterday or 2 days ago, I was on a flight back from New York and I checked in and thank you for being a silver medallion member. I can't wait till they say thank you for being a gold member. Let's
yeah,
go. But
they
I do
need to
think that
know that.
that delight that you get when an agent can trigger some sort of recognition of where you are, how
Yeah.
incredible is that? But also when something goes wrong and you recognize how much I have invested in this brand as the agent
Mm,
to say, "We know you've purchased this product a ton of time." Like, I had an experience with a well-known nutrition supplement brand, and I had to literally go on LinkedIn and Twitter to write them to get a recognition. I was like, "Do you see how much I order from you guys?" And I got nothing as in recognition, and I'm like, "Why am I being so loyal to this brand? I
fascinating.
can't my order got lost randomly, found out package was stolen, but it
Oh,
was like those kind of things are a miss, and I think you remember that as a consumer. So the same thing goes with like I always think partnership or brand side is that you want to reduce that friction. I also learned something even like with Smarterships, it's a paid community, right? And
mhm.
someone experienced something not so great. I didn't realize like one of our distro groups wasn't replying all when they would respond. So I'm responding to
Oh,
nowhere. And there's something wrong with
yeah,
Google in a setting. I had to get it fixed. And recognize that they probably didn't have a great experience. So making sure they understood, like, we're so sorry, we understand. And this is a volunteer community, but I also needed to make sure that that experience was better especially for the members that have invested in this
of
community.
course.
So it
Look,
goes to the
those little things matter, right? I mean, those are some powerful examples where it's in when there's so much sea of sameness and there are so many competing products, these little things like silver line, gold line, they do make a difference. I mean, you're also obviously neck deep in the loyalty stuff, obviously with Revo and some of your background as well. We would love to get your quick take. Where do you feel like most brands miss the mark? Like you were kind of alluding to this a little bit, but I would love to take one click into it. Like what what's missing, or how come we don't? It seems like an obvious step, but brands miss the mark, don't they? Pretty often.
I think so. One is like finding like I think the biggest one that I'll recognize, and our friends that visually did this study, actually with like a couple of brands, and one was like Princess Polly, an example.
Yeah,
They use this for the account experience and logging in. So they have this incredible referrals or loyalty program. Great, it's there. Are
yeah.
people using it? Because the access to the
That's always the next problem. We built it, but are they using
but it's
it?
like, do I know about it? Like my login experience. So the thing that I love about I think in most loyalty programs miss the mark is they treat it like a discount program, not a relationship system. And what I would say is
Um,
that their common misses is the login experience. So what we have is Revo accounts. So we keep people auto logged in up to a year. Shopify accounts can keep people auto up to like 30 days, some people
oh
ABO.
yeah,
The
cool,
idea
cool.
is that I don't have to second guess and be like, was it this email I logged in? But you can do Shop Pay, Google SSO, email.
Mm,
And it's a one click, easy to get into. You're not going to remember a password, all of these things. But the idea is I should be able to find my points and my value, right? Or what's my perk or where my order status is. This is all in one place. So you don't have the second guessing. I can manage my subscription order in there. So I think a lot of these loyalty programs, they think it's a set it and forget it, or they think it's just a discount program. And what is it should be a relationship tool. How am I making this easier for you to access this
that's
experience
yeah.
so that you can refer to others? So if you can manage everything in one place, how incredibly powerful is that?
Yeah, that set it and forget it, I think resonates with me a lot. It's so hard to get these things up and going, but once you do,
Yeah.
they're not done, right? I mean, that's usually then the journey begins. How many people using it? Are they enjoying it, etc. But I do think that's a great call out. A lot of people think the end all be all is just kind of setting it up. Do you
Yeah.
feel? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna also add to that, like, you don't wanna silo a lot of the data that you have too, and what happens is,
Yeah.
if loyalty sits outside of support, email, SMS, or, like,
Yeah.
interaction, you're not bringing that loyalty experience to every touch point too, so that's another one where it's like, okay, they'll be like, "Oh, they get an email about it, that's it." Well, what about your customer support? Or what about on-site? Are they able to, like, access that easily? And there tends to be, not a second purchase, like, strategy, so they over-optimize for acquisition
Uh,
was focus on accelerating that 1, 2, 3 purchase, especially or rewarding people that like, "I've signed up for a subscription." Well, after your 5th subscription or your 5th order on subscription, let's incentivize you. Thank you for doing that. Like, it's about recognizing why they're a top consumer, and I think most brands don't do that, or or to be fair, they have a tech stack that they can't.
yeah, that's
Like,
total.
that's another tough one.
Yeah, yeah, that is, I think you're definitely hitting it's the data, sometimes when that data is siloed, that just creates that experience that it makes the loyalty program be on the side or, or, you've got to find a way to bring some of that together so that it is more top of mind or people can use it. That's a great call out. That's a really good call out. Um, Want to get kind of your take a little bit on some topics, around maybe automation, AI. It's
Sure.
certainly happening a little bit. What do you feel like as a CX leader, are you seeing, I mean, and maybe just big picture, thoughts on AI and CX from your standpoint? I mean, it's everywhere, it's happening.
Yeah.
High level thoughts there before maybe I ask one or two quick double clicks there.
Well, first of all, it's a buzzword, and I'm like, "Okay, we get it." But if you're not what I love actually, this is really pretty incredible, was like, our CEO, Stewart, and our COO, James, threw in our Slack channel, "Hey, who needs access to an AI tool? Because you should be figuring out what's making your job won't make your job
Mm,
easier."
mm,
I love that there's creativity and understanding what that is, and I think it's like you have to step back and look, like, a lot of unfortunately or fortunately, some of our jobs are gonna be redundant because AI is going to take over that. But there's still so much process that it cannot be done. All it is just we wanna do is remove the steps of how long it will take you to get there. So,
cool. Yeah.
I think I look at that from that lens and go, "What in my world could be automated
Mm,
within AI that will still allow me to function at a higher level, but it's also making it more easier, I would say, for me to do more based off of that." It's not
yeah.
necessarily that it's taking over my job, it's that what is it gonna allow me to do that? So, one of the things I love is, like, I can do an audit on any brand on their existing loyalty program and show what we could do with Rivo and what's missing in the strategy or the vertical space. What is
Cool.
doing that for me that used to take me 3 or 4 hours when I was at my previous employer to go talk to a CS person or to go audit the site or ask questions or figure it out. Now it takes me maybe 20 minutes, not even that. It could take me 5, but if I put the duck together, maybe 20. So there are things
Mm,
like that where like human interaction can does, and you still have to read through the deck, you still have to edit it, you still have to
yes, of
figure that out.
course. Of course.
I think it's things that are giving you the short code to get there.
I think that that's super that's kind of finding that balance. And I finding that balance of like technology and automation as well as like humanity. Any advice, how would you apply that to the brand side? Like, how do you see technology and automation balancing with authenticity to kind of drive that customer experience forward? Are we going to go to a place where we just can't automate out everything? How do brands find that balance? Any advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think and here's what I'll say is, like, how do you turn connection into, like, rituals, rules, and run books? Okay, so I heard that term recently, I was like, "Oh, I like that, run books."
Interesting.
How do I run with this and do this? So, okay, the rituals. So a monthly, like, customer story or review, you review 3 wins, 3 wounds or or challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
You share but not only that, you share cross-functionally. So I think what ends up happening is we get siloed in our groups, and we don't share across the business units,
Ah, interesting.
those 3 things. Now we share with smaller groups, but I find learnings, across the organization are so helpful,
So helpful,
and I
right?
think
Yeah.
often, like, when I was on a previous, employer, massive group, right? Like 1,100 people. How do you share across business units that way, where it's genuinely like owning mistakes and failures, but also figuring out what's been working, and
Mm.
then the product and marketing and partnerships all work together. But I also think from a brand perspective, I was just seeing for a brand that got tagged on something LinkedIn, and they're like, "Well, paid and social don't actually interact and they have 2 different goals. And this is why we can't get to this experience." And I thought that's so interesting for a company that size, for a brand that actually works the Rivo too. So I was even learning that it's dysfunctioned internally. And I think that's where you have to get the learnings across
Fascinating.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think I love the kind of seeing that broader picture, and especially as you talk about sharing that information across. We get I mean, in general, we always get siloed, but you're right. When it comes to AI and best practices, sharing those across the organization can be so powerful. Okay. Cool. Well,
I was
oh,
gonna say
sorry. Go
one
ahead.
couple other things. Sorry, just two other points that kind of go with that roles in that run book.
Yeah. The front
Um,
book. Yeah.
and rules that we kinda talked about in the ritual, so I'll give it there. But I would say, like, a run book is, like, moments that matter playbooks. So, like, having a playbook around, like, first order, first issue, first anniversary, and first review, like,
Oh,
each loyalty each one, you have a loyalty-aware response. So
yeah.
having that from a CX perspective, knowing what you're gonna do in each of those, because even if it's a great thing, there should be a response. And then you wanna track, like, time to recognition against percentage of tickets with, like, loyalty context alongside
Oh, oh,
CSAT and, like, LTV. So the idea is, like, you wanna see if there's a correlation on there, and if there is then I think you can have benchmarks to place against, like, how you were performing. So, like, that's why I say with, like, a run book is, like, these are important metrics that you should align and figure out how that's gonna work together, and if you are recognizing the percentage going up or down based off of the
mm,
recognition, because 'cause that'll
yeah.
tell you if your efforts, I think, are moving or
Actually moving in the right direction, right? Yeah, because sometimes you're just doing and it do, but you're not actually seeing any of the results. That would make sense. Okay. All right. What you got anything else on that? I love the three kind of
I always think about like community paths. There's one last one. So like, okay, from Smarterships, like we use like a contributor ladder, like listener, participant, collaborator, like champion. And you can see it across there. So like
okay.
I always think brands can mirror that from customers and partners, right? So you can see where you listen to someone, where they're a participant, where they were like giving you feedback, and then they became a collaborator, like, well, I would love to see this product or this feature or whatever. And then they become your champion. As in, when I have a great product, you can ask anyone around me. And if I've had a good experience, I'm telling everyone and their moms, and you're going to love like that product because I can sell anything to anyone. But it's
Mm,
because I had a great experience when I'm like, oh, wow, like I got served this ad and then I got texted and they gave me a unique QR and it almost sounded like someone was reaching out personally. So, like, all of these things, I'll talk about it. And I would say, brands need to also recognize how they can mirror that even with like what we do as partnerships because it's
yeah,
the same
cool.
kind of playbook. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, look, I think you've been in this loyalty community space for a while now. So I appreciate you diving in. Some cool tips and tricks to kind of move people in that direction. So really appreciate you taking the time. What would be we actually maybe one last thing. We hit
Sure.
on a bunch of different topics. If we've got so many people in the CX space trying to kind of figure out how to navigate all the different changes, not just AI, but
Yep.
do more with less and more competitors and the retention, the loyalty, the shipping, the insurance, whatever. Any quick advice? Like, what would you leave behind for people who are really trying to up their game in CX? Any just quick piece
Sure.
of advice or leave behind you'd give?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say like in the next quarter or the next 30 days you could do something. And I'll call it like a recognition layer in the next 30 days you could do. So one is like surface loyalty context, like tiers, anniversary point, like point at risk, and every CX tool your team touches. So that's one that they could do and just recognize it. I think that's gonna be powerful. The second one is you're gonna
Love that.
pre-approve a give first budget with guidelines. So an example, to X amount of dollars or points. Agencies don't have to, I'm sorry, so agents, not agencies, don't have to ask for permission to be kind.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that like is really powerful. It's like when you go to like the hotel models where they're given, you see that story that always goes on viral every few days where someone was given $1,000 that they can, bless someone with if they have a bad experience. I think that in these small loyalty experiences.
Yeah.
I think record 5 customer micro stories, just a 1-minute loom, and play them during your weekly stand-up to build, like, muscle memory for
Mm,
empathy. Someone said that recently, and I thought, "That's such a great
that
idea."
is such a
Like,
great idea.
how cool is,
Yeah.
like, pinpoint out something that they could say, like, "This is how we wanna lead with," and you're just constantly ingraining that into your culture. So I think that that becomes then part of that ecosystem or ethos of the company, and part of the ecosystem of all of your partnerships and everything that's kind of like a North Star. And the last I would say is like send a community style welcome, like a plain, text. There's actually companies that you can do this with a human. So there's a lot of really great tools you can do. Like Letter Labs does this, where you can do a personalized experience or direct mail, where it simply invites them to a brand space or user group.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
huge one. So basically, you want to turn these like routine services into relationship queues at scale, and you can do that with like really great partners like a Postpod or whatever it might be that can do direct mail or experiences. So I would say those are things. And just remember, like, Great CX isn't a department. I think some people silo like because I am guilty
Just
of that.
one.
I'll meet someone
Yeah.
and be like, "You're in this department."
You
It's
should
actually
own it. Yeah.
it's a network of humans, like, helping with customers succeed. So, like, partnerships extends that ability, and community
Yeah.
extends the empathy, and loyalty is what happens when both keep showing up. So that's the thing I would leave
I
with.
love it. I love yeah, look, I feels like when companies get that siloed or when customers are I love the little Loom video, when customers are like part of your culture, it just makes it so much different and better. And when you lose that, you get in your own mindset, you kind of lose some of that insight. But I love the idea of keeping customers close. Cool. Appreciate the talk track. Super fun to hear it. Thanks for diving in. If someone wanted to learn a little more about Revo or
Yeah,
connect with you and dive into this, what would be the best way to do that?
absolutely. So you can reach out to Sarah@revo.io, or you can get me on LinkedIn. Happy to connect there and help in anything that you might need as it relates to loyalty, retention, or even the partnership experience.
All righty. Well, hey, appreciate your time and have a great day.
Thank you.